Hello, we're parked at Memphis Airport, which is FedEx's super hub, and we have the TFDi MD-11, and I want to show how to do an air start of this plane as well as a crossbleed start. We're going to assume that the APU is inoperative, and I'll show you the procedure on how to do that. I'm going to skip a lot of steps here. We're going to focus really on just that procedure. We're going to skip doing flight plans and so forth. We are cold and dark, but we do also want to use GSX to do the pushback. So let me give you a quick a game plan here. So we're going to start engine number 3 with the air start unit connected here at the gate. Then we'll disconnect the ground connections, and then we'll have GSX push us back with this engine running, and then during and after pushback, we're going to do a cross-bleed start of engine number 1 and engine number 2. So no APU, we're going to do it with an air start unit and crossbleed start. So let's go ahead and, well actually let's first configure GSX. In order to be able to do a pushback with an engine running, you do need to configure something. And let me show you how to do that. So go into Customize Airplane in the GSX main menu. And you need to make sure that this is checked, engine start before pushback. And this needs to be done for every model that you might want to push back. This is not a global option, it's a plane specific option for the MD11. So I already had that checked, so we don't need to really make any changes. So what I'm going to go ahead and do just to do things quickly is click Prepare for Pushback and Departure, and you'll notice this option shows up now. Do you want to start engines before pushback? And that's yes. So GSX is going to start moving equipment and the marshals around, so we're going to go ahead and jump into the cockpit and get things started here. So we are cold and dark. Let's go to the tablet, services, we have the GPU connected and the wheel chocks on. I've got the brakes on, and let's go to the top menu, or the overhead panel, and let's get this thing started. So we hit the battery switch, and I'm assuming you know how to do most of this. This isn't a lesson on how to do a cold and dark start. I assume you already know how to do that. So battery first, then we click the external power, and you hear Betty making her announcement, autopilot. Next, we want to turn on the emergency power to arm. Let's go down here. We'll turn the emergency lights on, and let's do this the right way. We'll turn on the beacon and navigation lights so the outside ground crew know that we're about ready to roll. Final thing we want to do is, I'll say two more things we want to do. Let's go ahead and pick engine ignition A. Typically, you would, on odd days, you would use A. On even days, you'd use B to sort of load balance. And we can turn the IRSs on, not required since we're not even doing a flight plan, but let's just go and turn them on anyway. So the overhead is set to go, and next I want to show you the air page. So let me give you this angle, and I'm going to go down to the bottom here. Those are the synoptics page. I'm going to click air, and let's take a look at what's going on here. So the part we need to be concerned with is really the lower part of this screen. We've got the 3 engines. This is the duct pressure, the air bleed pressure for each engine. As expected, we don't have an APU running, so we get 1 measly PSI in engine number 1. I'm not quite sure why it says that, but that's the way it is. And then no bleed pressure in engine number 2 and engine number 3. These lines right here are the isolation valves, and you can see that they're both closed. This direction means it's closed. If it was turned facing up, that means it's open and there's no airflow. So let's jump over here. So GSX is asking for a pushback direction. You can go ahead and do this right now. Let's go ahead and do it. We'll do nose left, but we're not going to push back yet. It still is. So this is that new functionality waiting for engine to start. So let's go ahead and jump back up to the top, and now you can see these 2 buttons here. These are the 2 things we need to control here. These are the isolation valves. You can see that they're both set to on, which means they're closed. That means there is airflow. And you've got the diagram shown up here. This isolation valve 1 through 2, that's the line between engine 1 and engine number 2. And this is the line between engine number 1 and 3. That's a gap. That's not a connection there. That goes across to here. That does correspond to what we see in the diagram. So what we need to do is go over to the tablet and start the ASU, Air Start Unit. Click Connect. You hear a rush of air. Let's hop back over here, and now you see bleed air pressure start to build all the way across. The minimum that this plane needs to start, from what I've read, is 25 psi, and you can see we're rapidly getting there, and we already have all the air pressure that we need to start any of the 3 engines. Now this aircraft, you always want to start it engine number 3 first, engine number 1 second, and engine number 2 third. That's the standard order that you start this plane in. So we have over 25 here, so we can actually jump back here and start engine number 1. So let me get a view here. We're going to click this as the start button. That lights up, and you can see into a starting already built. I've got buttons on my Stream Deck here to increase the sim rate, so I'm going to up that to 4. We want to, just to go more quickly here, once this gets above 20, that's when you can introduce fuel. Now GSX prompts you to release your parking brakes. We still have a bit more to do. We need to disconnect the ground equipment first. Okay, so we have engine number 1 running. This popped back in, and we are good to go. Let's go back to the air page. You can see we've got air pressure already running up to the top, and it's controlling the packs. This is now open. There is no airflow going to here. There is airflow between these two, but that's something we'll need to change here shortly. So because that's because the air start unit. Sorry, that's why the air start unit is still running. We're going to disconnect that if we can. There it goes. And while we're here, let's go ahead and disconnect the GPU and the wheel chocks. Let's go back over here, and then you can see the duct pressure is now starting to drop. That's expected. So engine number 3 is running. These are not running, so we're not getting any air pressure. So we can go ahead and disconnect. We already disconnected the ground equipment, so I'm going to release the parking brake using my external controls. GSX is going to start the pushback. All engines clear, start at will, so now we can start engine number 1 next. So what do we do here? Well, we need to get bleed air from engine number 3 over to engine number 1. And as we've already sort of talked about, that's the isolation valve. Now, what we need to do is close this valve to get airflow. I'm sorry, open the valve. So if I click here, you'll notice that this flashes here. So what that means, right now this panel is in automatic mode. What we need to do is put it in manual mode first. So you need to click here, that puts it in manual mode. Now we can actually start clicking switches here and controlling it the way we want. So we want this one to turn to on and this one turned off. So let's pop back down here. Now we see bleed air is coming from engine number 3, flowing through the isolation valve, and now we've got the magic 25 psi in engine number 1. Now we can go and start engine number 1. So let's go ahead and scroll here. Let's click this. Yes, we see N2 start to build up. I'm going to go to sim speed 4, and let's wait for this number to get up to 20. Get fuel going, and everything is going. Everything is starting up as expected. If you actually click this as the pressure starts to build, it'll sit here at 0, but then eventually it will start. It will start building pressure. But if you notice nothing happening here and you're starting the engines, that's one of the first things you want to do is check your bleed air pressure to see what's going on. Okay, now we've got engine number 2 to start. Let's go up to first of all, let's go back to the air diagram. So we've got bleed air. We still have 0 duct pressure in engine number 2. So what we'll need to do is go up here, close this valve, open this valve, and back down here, and now you see bleed pressure start to build up. I'm going to go ahead and actually click start right now. Now see this just sit here for a second, and once this gets to 25, it's a little slow. It's slower probably because the engine's running, but I think once this hits 25 or so, we'll start to see this build up. Okay, there, hit 25. Now we've got N2 building up. Let's go ahead and up the sim rate one more time just to speed up this video. So we're 20, we can introduce fuel. And boom, we got all 3 engines just about started. Now we last thing we need to do to clean up. Okay, I need to set the parking brake. Sorry GSX, making you sit there forever. So they can disconnect their tug. I go up here, and then what I want to do is press this, go back into automatic mode. And now the plane is controlling all the valves. It does what it needs to do. It doesn't really require any intervention. We've got 3 running engines, and boom, we've done an air start and a crossbleed start of the MD-11. One little item, in the Discord, Some people were asking about this, and the TFDi developers seem to imply that you actually needed to increase the throttle at times in order to provide enough bleed pressure to the engine that you're trying to start. I've not seen this. The procedure I did always gave us well over 25 psi. But if you ever notice for some reason, maybe you've played with the bleed switches on the top, or you're seeing like maybe 10, 15 psi, and it's just sitting there, try increasing the throttle of the running engine to see if you can get it over 25. I know that's the procedure you need to do in the Phoenix, the A320 family, as well as the Boeing 737. That you do need to increase the throttle on the running engine in order to get enough air pressure into the engine that you want to start. But anyway, this seems to work. If you have any comments, if you have some additional information, or if I've said something wrong, please put it in the comments. I'm always willing to learn new things. I'm an engineer, but I'm not a pilot, although I'd love to be one. I love finding out how things work, and this really gives you, the synoptics pages of these planes really give you an inside scoop of what's really going on under the hood. Anyway, I hope you find this helpful. Take care.